Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about iZombie, in particular, Liv's love life. Now, this is me going a bit into spoilers, so if you're not caught up, don't watch this, but maybe it's not that big of a deal to you, but nevertheless. The fact of the matter is, it's something I've talked about before in my reviews for iZombie, and just the fact is that Liv can never catch a break when it comes to her love life. Like, everyone else is kind of in their situations around her. It's like, oh, Clive and Dale got their thing going on, and then there's Ravi and Peyton. They had their complications, but eventually, they found, their way back to each other. But Liv has not been that lucky over the course of the series. Like, her relationships have just, there's never a happy ending for Liv, and I think that kind of plays into her character. And the fact is that, like, her whole character kind of basically helps other people, especially where she is right now, storyline wise. Like, it's all about helping people, and now it's like that, I think that's the whole hero's plight of, like, oh yeah, you help other people, but then, like, your personal life and just things don't always work out for you in the long run, which is kind of sad. Like, I mean, let's break everything down. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, the show just actively doesn't want her to be happy in a sense. So, like, take her and Major, first thing from the series is like, oh, they were engaged and everything, but then Liv kind of broke things off because the whole becoming a zombie situation and not explaining it to anyone, not to her family and everything. Then there's the Lowell situation of, oh yeah, he got killed by Blaine, and there will always be a part of her that will hate Blaine, just for all the terrible stuff he's done, but also for that. Then there's the Drake situation, where it's like, because for her, she thought Drake was a bad guy because he was, connected to Blaine and all that. Much like Lowell, because Lowell at the time didn't know about, like, oh yeah, Blaine's got all, like, he didn't know where all the brains came from, and she felt guilty because she put Lowell in a position where he wanted to take down Blaine because she told him the truth. And basically, he was almost doing it to kind of make it up to her for, like, the terrible stuff. Like, he was trying to make up for the fact that it's like, he was eating the brains from people who were murdered. Because, like I said, he didn't know where Blaine was getting the brains from. And then, like I said, the same thing kind of to a certain extent with Drake. But then she later on found out, like, oh, Drake's actually an undercover cop. That sadly ended the way it did. It makes her, feel even more guilty. Because for her, it's like she didn't get there in time. Because Drake sacrificed himself for other people. And I mean, that's just the type of dude he was. So he put himself in a position to, like, get experimented on by a Max Rager before anyone else is, saving other people's lives. So, and then there's the whole situation with Justin, which I even said this back then. I always thought it was kind of messed up the way Justin kind of, like, blamed Liv for, like, things kind of going down. It's like, oh, you could have fought the brain and stuff like that. For one, Liv's situation when it comes to brains is very different from, I feel like, most zombies, because the fact of the matter is she embraces, like, the memories and stuff like that. She's always opened herself up to, like, adopting someone else's personality and getting their memories, because that's how she helps solve crime. So, like, she's never really suppressed brains before. I mean, she kind of does on some level, but she's usually just embraces them because it's part of how she solves things. And I guess you could also, because also, like, a lot of times when things don't kind of go well, the sad part is, like, Liv kind of dives inside of a brain just to kind of, like, be someone else so she doesn't have to be herself at the time. And the fact is, like, Justin, the whole Fillmore Grave situation, they always ate two brains most of the time. So even if he had real brains prior to that, I can't remember, it's been a little while, I can't remember if he ever had brains, like, other than two brains. I'm sure he probably had some at some point in time, but I think it probably been such a long time you probably had forgotten, like, really what it was like to be on someone else's, like, a live brain, all that, that person's personality and memories kind of flooding. And so it was just kind of sad that he kind of blamed her for that, especially, like I said, because who she is, she always kind of embraces the brains, essentially, And then finally, there's the whole Levon situation. That gets complicated because there was a whole her and Major thing happening again, because they've always been kind of a part of each other's lives, and I'll kind of get to that in a second. But Levon situation, it's like she blames herself because it's like, I'm the one that should have died, but Levon died to take my spot in the grand scheme of all of this, and it's just kind of, she'll feel even more guilty, on that part. Like, I think the thing is, like, about Liv too, it's like, in these, at the very least, in these three particular cases, because at least Justin's still alive, but when it comes to Lowell, Drake, as well as, Levon, she blames herself. The Levon situation is complicated too, because she, on some level, she's always going to blame Major to a certain extent. Like, she gets why Major did it. Like, Major took her away because he didn't want her to turn herself in, because the fact of the matter is, like, he still cares about her, and she understands that was him trying to do the right thing, but Levon died as a because of it, you know. So, and she also realizes it's like Major, you know, has his complications. He always gets a little lost along the way, but she knows who he is deep down and knew that, you know, he'll kind of snap back to being the person that he is. So now going forward, I'm curious to see what they would do with Liv. I think I brought this up in the video when I was talking about potentially, you know, what, you know, my thoughts and theories about season 5. You know, the final season and everything, like what they're gonna do with Liv's situation, because I feel like going forward she's probably gonna be like, no more relationship. She's already kind of been like that, but new things come up to make her go like, oh, I'm gonna give it another try. It's like after Levon just, you know, now kind of helping all these people, like that might be her big focus, so she might kind of let her love life go to the wayside. Because my thought process is like, hey, maybe her and Major, but like after Major being the part of the reason why Levon died, once again, I don't personally fully blame him, and I don't think Liv all the way blames him either, but the fact of the matter is he still kind of played a part, so it leaves you a little complicated, your feelings complicated towards him. So I don't know if they're even going to do that, but like Major and Liv have been a big part of each other's lives throughout all of this, so they always seem to, you know, always gravitate towards each other. I mean, to be fair, it's not like Major's love life has been that great either, because there was the whole situation of him and like Rita, I was about to forget her name, but it's Natalie, the one of the girls he had said, you know, when he was a chaos killer and stuff like that. There's also that girl, I definitely forgot her name, but it's the girl that got with him because he was the chaos killer, and the fact that she put up all this merch and stuff with his face, like a shirt with his face on it and everything. So not like things have been that great around, you know, Major. I mean, the whole Natalie thing, like it seemed like there might have been something kind of bubbling there, but the fact of the matter is it's also just because I think it was more sort of friendship maybe, but still he cared about it. I don't know, it's just kind of like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of a sad situation, or just like like I said, biggest extent of just the show actively being like, oh yeah, Liv can't be happy in that regard. So it's just kind of interesting. Like I said, everyone else around her is kind of in that happy space to a certain extent, you know. So like I said, it's just that aspect, I think, actively of like, you know, Liv sacrificing for other people, and it, you know, putting other people's needs before her own in that regard. So, but like I said, those are just some thoughts that were kind of going through my head. My question to you guys is, like, you know, with the final season coming up and everything, I actually have to look it up. I'll include an annotation if there is a date available yet. I don't know if there is one yet, but what do you think will happen with Liv's love life in the final season? Do you think her and Major will get back together? Would you even want that? Because some people might be like, no. Like Liv and Major, they need to just stay separated just because. But like I said, they always gravitate to each other. So I think maybe it's just an aspect of like, just because all that they've been through, that they know each other so well, that they will always gravitate to being, you know, the inner circle that they are, especially, you know, all the friends they have connected. Like they are so intertwined with each other's lives. Or like I said, maybe Liv will just be like, nah, bump that, you know, because I think it also comes down to what they end up doing with Liv, whether they end up making her human by the end of the series, or whether she fully stays a zombie the entire time. I have no idea. I'm sure that will play a big part. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good